feeling today, everybody? How are you today? I think we're getting back to sports today, Tiki. I think we're getting back to sports today. I think.
Well, we need to.
Yeah.
We need to talk about your quarterback a little bit.
Yeah, we do. And what I mean by that is obviously the Kyrie Irving stuff has been central on the station, central, really part of the sporting dialogue. And, at least just to connect the bridge here before we move on and get into something on Zach Wilson. The Jets, obviously, Week 9 begins tonight. Listen, I've made my position very clear. I'm not going to rant and rave and yell. I'm not just going to manufacture emotion for the sake of doing it. It came naturally yesterday. I'm on the record. I would have fired Marks. Nash was a scapegoat. I would banish Kyrie Irving. Adam Silver's hiding. Joe Tsai is really, really allowing his brand to look inept. And it's sad, right? So they did cut a check here, all right? This is the next part of the equation. And, the one thing, Teak, and I promise we're not belaboring this today. I don't think you guys want this for a couple of hours, and I know we don't want this, but one thing I've never done, I've never been a fan. I mean, not that I've tried not to do it. And for the most part, I think I've followed that rule that I have for myself. I'm not a big fan of grading apologies. I think when you start going down that road and you start to try to read body language and, the tone didn't seem sincere and, the inflection wasn't perfect. What are we doing, man? You either apologize or you don't. And my problem with Kyrie Irving is that he still really has not apologized. So you could cut the check along with the ADL,
yeah.
Right? Anti-Defamation League. You could do that. The Nets could kick in $500,000 as well. And you could try to buy some equity because that's in essence what you're trying to do. But the silence from the league and the silence from the stars, it's a horrendous look. I will never forget this moment in the NBA, but he still really has not apologized.
Yeah, and people probably don't care, but what they really should, when you think about Kyrie right now, is to realize that he's admitting a mistake. At the end of the day, that's really all it comes down to. He understands now, at least according to his statement, that he was negatively impacting the Jewish community, and he's donating money, and there's nothing else we can do about it. It's out of our hands, but people screamed and yelled about it yesterday and today.
Yeah, rightfully so.
And today, he's doing the right thing.
As much as I say I don't want to, and we're not doing this much. We're not. But is he really fully doing the right thing?
He's doing enough of the right thing. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I'll leave it at that. You said something today. I got to tell you, we walk in for the show, right? Walking for the show, and I've got such a good attitude. I'm ready. I have regenerated from the pounding mentally that we all took. If you're a Jets fan, what we saw this past week with Zach Wilson, it was awful. And really, I think it was Zach's worst week by far as a pro. Last year there were some trials and tribulations as well, but, not a ton of talent. First year, he had an injury. All right. And then all of a sudden, the throws came and the lack of regard for the foot. It was a rough look. Zach Wilson looked awful. But I rolled in today, not because I'm blindly optimistic, because I honestly think, I don't think the Jets will beat the Bills. I do think that this is a real opportunity to silence some critics, to repair and mend the fences of those who think that he is a bust, which I think is laughable. I think if you're calling Zach Wilson a bust at this point, I think it's way early. But I was fired up. And then all of a sudden, this guy to my left hit me with a number that pretty much left me speechless. Would you like to regurgitate the number?
It's so
along with your opinions.
Every week, because I call games, even though I'm not calling anymore for the NFL, but I still get all the statistics. I get all of this stuff. Just they dump it on you, like, go weed through this and figure out what's relevant to your game. So I get all of this all these numbers and stats, and I get this one stat that just jumped off the page, and I almost didn't believe it because I said, it's got to be a typo. It's got to be. And it was a simple one. Zach Wilson, when pressured, and that can mean a couple of things. Either someone gets beat and he's getting pressured right away, or a defense brings an extra rusher, so a cornerback or a linebacker dogging, whatever it may be. But Zach Wilson has been pressured 47 times this season that he's tried to throw a football on. So it's not including sacks. So he's tried to throw a football when he's being pressured. He's completed 9 of them. So
9 of 47.
9 of 47 when pressured, Zach Wilson is this year, which is about 19%.
Or Joey Gallo territory. He's hitting 190.
It's Joey Gallo territory. And when you think about it in real time, it's like, okay, but he got pressured. It's only 47. How many snaps has there been? It's only 47, snaps. But when you put that out across 8 games and you realize that those pressure situations are usually third downs, they're usually critical moments in games, getting tight into the red zone or about to be in the red zone. That's when defensive coordinators tend to heat up the opposing quarterback. And you realize that 19% success rate, and that's just a completion. Forget the first down, the result from that. This is just a completion percentage when pressured. He is so far at the bottom of the league that it makes Mitch Trubisky look like a competent quarterback
who
under
got
pressure.
Benched against the Jets.
Who got benched against the Jets. Mitch Trubisky's completion percentage when pressure is 35%. There is nobody between Mitch Trubisky and Zach Wilson at 19%. It is abysmally bad, BT. And part of it's coaching, obviously. Part of it's being in situations where you're second, third, and long. But
part of it's play calling as well.
100% play calling, but. Man, at what point
that's a bad number.
Do you start exactly?
That's a jarring number.
Do you start having the conversation that maybe this kid's not going to figure it out?
Don't do this to me today.
Maybe he is going to be a bust.
Oh, jeez. I mean, at what point?
By the way, the reason you bring this up now is because we saw this after year 1 with Tua, and it was certainly because remember he kept getting benched for Fitzpatrick. And then you saw it after year 2 because there wasn't a demonstrative improvement in his success rates, in winning and losing. And so Tua was under pressure year 2 to prove it. And people were saying Tua could be a bust. Now he's come out of that almost completely. But Zach Wilson is in that same spot that Tua was in last year where you legitimately have to start saying, man, is this guy the dude? And I know it's early. I know they haven't put him on his shoulders a lot. They've mostly been running the ball. But now Breece Hall is hurt. James Robinson, for whatever reason, or Michael Carter, they didn't feel like giving him the rock last week. And we saw it fully with Zach, and it was bad, dude. So I think you have to start having this conversation in your mind if you're a Jet fan. I don't think the Jets themselves are having it, but as a fan, you might start having to pull back this lofty expectation that you had for Zach Wilson.
You can have that conversation because I'm not about to have that conversation. I mean, I'll listen to these numbers all you want. Oh, with a clean pocket, he's 72%. Understood. Under pressure, he's 19%. Daniel Jones, 54% under pressure compared to 19%.
Which is 5th in the league,
I get
by
it.
the way.
That's very good, yeah. Daniel Jones, 71% with a clean pocket. 1 percentage point worse than Wilson with a clean. Okay. These numbers, they absolutely mean something. Numbers always mean something. I'm not here to refute the merit of those numbers, but there's always context, Mr. Barber.
Go ahead.
And here's the context. He's got to stop bailing. He's like, I don't know how you can complete a decent amount of passes when half of the passes that you throw are designed to hit somebody in the first row. Now, unfortunately, sometimes they don't make the sideline and they find the opposition's belly, which is another issue, which we saw with McCourty and the Patriots here. Okay. Do I think Zach Wilson's a bust? My most honest answer, I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But if you had to,
don't know.
If you had to put me to the task and say, is he a bust? I would tell you my gut is no.
So would I, right now.
My gut is no.
Right now. Now, by the end of the season, I'm not going into next season not knowing. The onus is on Zach Wilson to get a whole hell of a lot better. And eventually, the onus is going to probably be on the New York Jets to find themselves a new offensive coordinator if things can't get tightened up. But, I know this is our city, and this is one of our teams, and this is one of our quarterbacks. I get that. What do you think they're saying down in Jacksonville? Trevor Lawrence is – now, I know it's not the same exact situation.
Yep.
Urban Meyer was a train wreck a year ago. Got that.
Wreck.
But he is 5-20, all right? His win-loss record is 5-20. That is the worst record by any number one pick through 25 games in the history of the NFL. You think they're wondering if Trevor Lawrence is a bust?
No.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
on some level, they've got to be disenchanted with what they've seen.
I think no in Jacksonville because the expectation never rose. It's right. You come
Never rose, but it started so much more higher.
Yes.
Was Trevor Lawrence the greatest prospect in 10 years?
Yeah, but
since Andrew Luck, since Peyton Manning.
But let's
not change the narrative, Tiki.
I'm not. I'm
That's
actually being fair to the narrative. It was not too long because I did the game. The game after Urban Meyer skipped the flight home and was feeling up some girl's ass in a bar in Ohio. I did that next game. And I remember
you weren't at the bar with them, were you?
No, I wasn't.
No, sure.
I was down in Jacksonville, and they were trying so hard to make it. Oh, it's not a big deal. Hey, coach, you're a dude, man. We all do that stuff. Just don't get caught. Like that's what they were trying to tell us, but you could feel it. They were just like, dude, what the hell is up with our head coach?
Mm-hmm.
And so while there was a lofty expectation for Trevor Lawrence as a rookie, it fell really quickly. Like week 4, it was like, dude. Everybody's just trying to protect themselves. Don't get caught in the shrapnel that Urban Meyer's exploding NFL career is tossing out to everybody. So you almost get rid of that season and bring Trevor Lawrence into 2022, his second year, same as Zach, as a rookie again because he's basically starting all over with Doug Peterson. So I think that question is not happening in Jacksonville. Because they realized it was a cluster down there last year, and this year they don't have the talent like the Jets have. The Jets have so much talent. That's why this is becoming a conversation. And we've said this.
But it's not being utilized properly. Elijah Moore doesn't play.
I agree.
Denzel Mims finally starts to play. Their offense.
It's not all his fault.
True.
Right? So much
That's
of
what
this.
I'm saying.
So much of this.
But he's got to be
to be
better.
honest. Yes, he does.
He's got to be a lot better.
But think about the circumstances you find yourself in. Like where you get drafted to matters.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about the city per se, but it could be the city.
You mean the situation?
The situation, like who is around you, who's on the team, skill position wise, if you're a quarterback, who's your offensive coordinator, right? What's the team like? What's the culture like? And if you get into a bad spot where you have a bad quarterback, a bad culture, a bad play call, you have no chance, no matter how good you potentially were going to be. The prime example, as we talked about last week, is Geno Smith. Think how bad that was when he came here.
And Ryan Tannehill's going.
And Ryan Tannehill's another. Think about how bad
Alex Smith.
these early situations these guys were in.
Yeah.
Right? But Alex Smith was fortunate.
Pre-Harbaugh.
But I'm just saying, Alex Smith was lucky because they didn't try to run quarterbacks out of town after 3 years when they were first-round picks.
That's right. Because he was drafted in 2005. It was a different financial commitment.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, it's going to take you 6 years. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's good. Now it's like you don't figure it out in 2 years. Next.
Sims would have been gone.
Yep.
I mean, Eli may have been gone. Yeah. I mean, I hear you. So this is what this guy's hit me with today. Hey, this should be a fun show. And just as I actually start to feel better about, not better because it was horrendous, but I've been able to process it and move on from the Patriots debacle, this guy comes in and says my quarterback might be a bust.
Next man up.
Mike White was elevated to the 2 spot.
Just saying.
877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the fan.